DC's current animated universe, the Tomorrowverse, is at an end, and I am here for you with my review for part 1 of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 3-part story that is going to wrap everything up and culminate in the end of an era for DC. So let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review for Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1. Yes, as I said, the DC animated universe is at an end. Under James Gunn, DC are going in another direction with everything, with games, with animated, with their films. They're all going to be interlinked. So at the moment, the Tomorrowverse of movies that started with Man of Tomorrow is coming to an end, and we are given a 3-parter. And the first part of Crisis on Infinite Earths, part 1, runs for 93 minutes. And yes, and now this is quite a complex episode, a complex film, shall I say. There's a lot going on. We start off with the Flash. It's very Flash centric. And we get into a battle with Amazo, a cyborg, a robot that's been made with the help of LexCorp, but it's not fulfilling its primary function. There's fight scenes and all this sort of stuff. Superman, Batman, the Justice League are formed in this as well. And then all the heroes are gathered together by the Monitor because there is a wave coming through, a wave that's going to destroy all these worlds, and it causes the crisis that we come to speak of. So all these characters have to be brought together from different worlds, from different times, to effectively brainstorm and figure out a way of stopping this wave from happening, this antimatter wave that is coming through. And we have the Flash, like I said, front and center. He's kind of been thrown out of time, and we're seeing things from different worlds, different timelines, all this sort of thing occurring. We get a sort of a world where we see this antimatter wave destroying it close up, and it's a world that is inhabited by essentially an evil version of the Justice League, who are criminals, who are the world's government. They've appointed themselves, all this sort of stuff going on. And the Flash is there, and he gets to see the destruction firsthand. And they come up with this plan to save planets by essentially building a tower that can vibrate, much like the Flash can reverberate and vibrate and pass through things. They want to use that as a way of attempting to pass through this antimatter wave, or taking the Earth out of phase, so to speak. So when the antimatter wave hits, it goes through and passes through it. Obviously there are some characters that are sacrificed in this story and things like that. I won't go into depth about that. I won't go into depth too much about the story and what goes on. There is an old hobo person in it who is warning about the end of the world, and it's pretty obvious who this character is, and it kind of links back to the DC animated universe prior to this, before everything was reset and we got the Tomorrowverse, and I like that element of it. So is this a good film? Isn't this a good film? I don't want to go too depth into story. This is a review. It isn't a breakdown of the episode, because I'm not going to ruin it for people. Obviously it does end on a sense of a cliffhanger. Stuff happens where I don't want to say it, but this is DC animated universe films at their best. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to take in. It does jump from time to time, and it does hark back to a lot of the films that came before in this Tomorrowverse storyline, like Legion of Superheroes, War World, things like this come into play. Things that you may think have been forgotten about, and what was the point of that? We do get all that culminating in this. Unfortunately, it does feel like this Tomorrowverse world has come to an abrupt end because of the James Gunn stuff. I believe that it was meant to continue longer than this. We get voice actors return to their roles that they performed throughout the series. Jensen Ackles, obviously a highlight as Batman. And I can't fault the musical score in this. The musical score in a lot of these animated films, and this one included, has been very strong, has been very good. The animation is on par with the episodes that come before, or the films that come before, love it or hate it. I quite like the animation in this. There's a lot of heart to this story, to the Barry Allen story. Like I said, front and centric in this, more so than any other character. He's your guide, he's the person you're following through this story, and even him at the end, there's stuff going on where you get the Spectre appear, and yeah, very good, very good. I enjoyed this one, I enjoyed it. Like I said, this is the first of a three-parter, so they've taken their time, and they're taking their time with these ones, building it, and they're going out with a bang, a grandioso fashion. Obviously, Crisis on Infinite Earths, as you know if you're a DC comic book reader, harks back to the 1980s when the DC continuity was in such a mess that a comic book was done by George Perez, I forget the other person involved, my mind's drawing a blank, and they had to end everything to restart again and bring everything into one in a nice cohesive fashion and start anew, because to tie up the loose ends of the continuity, the mess that it was prior to that. And so we've got an ending here much akin to that. It wants to tie everything up, it wants to end everything before we go into this new phase of DC under James Gunn, whatever that may bring. So this one is worth your while. The animation is good, the voice acting is good, you've got a lot of heart in the story, a lot of excitement and emotion, a great soundtrack, good voice cast, all comes together nicely. It's just a shame that it feels as though this has all come about very quickly as a finale, and it feels like this Tomorrowverse universe hasn't long begun. But there we go, we can't have it all. Hopefully it just ramps up from here for those last two parts, and they do better than this one. This one was good, but hopefully they bring the stakes up higher and we get a lot of emotional core at play within them. Anyway, so there we go, just a quick talk about this film. Great one. I think the physical release is towards the end of this month. Here in the UK we get a 4K steelbook, which I do have on pre-order, already paid for with Amazon vouchers actually. But anyway, so there we go, I'm going off on a tangent there. Obviously I'll be back for part 2 later in the year. We're getting all 3 parts in 2024. So let me know your thoughts on this one when you've seen it. Take care all, and goodbye.